In this installment of topic 2, we're going to look at text functions or formulas. Now, I'm not sure how many of you will actually use text functions. They might be useful for some tasks if you're looking at things like financial calculations and financial statements, cash flow statements, and so on and so forth. They might be of less use. Nevertheless, they can be quite useful in some scenarios that you may envisage. So I need you again to download or to open, if you have it available, the Excel file which comes under topic 2 in Moodle, and this time go to the fourth tab, which is shown here, and this is the text formulas. If you want to have a look at the variety of formulas available to you, all you need to do is go to the Formulas tab and then click to have a look at all the various text formulas that you have. So there's quite a few of them. We're not going to cover everything. We're going to look at some of them and some of the nice tricks that you can use with some of them. So I will start first of all by showing you how not to use any formulas at all, but simply put strings of text together. Okay, so here I have a little table. I have a list of singers' names. So you'll see I have the Beatles here and Elton John and Brooks Springsteen. So imagine the case whereby you have to put together their full name, right? So I have split it into forename and surname, and now want to put them in a new field, put the two names together. So the simplest thing you can do is to actually type whatever it is that you want to put together in a string, in a series, and then use the ampersand to string everything together. I will start with something very simple. So I will start first of all in this cell by saying equals, and I want to put the words Joe and blogs together. So you would put whatever text string you want into quotes. So you would open quotation marks, you would type Joe. Now, interestingly here, if you don't type anything else and you close the quotation marks, right, and you don't add any space anywhere else, okay, you would have the names stuck together. So if I put here Joe, and this is the ampersand, which is over number 7 on your keyboard, so it's shift and the number 7, and then I put another space, and then I open quotes again, and I say blogs, and close quotes. The result of this would be Joe blogs stuck to each other without any space. So in this case, the right thing to do is to go back to your formula and either add a space after the first string, text string, or before the next string. So if I press return here, you'll see the names appears fine. Now, let's say that you don't want to actually type every individual text string in your formula, but you want to use the contents of existing cells. So here I want to put together whatever is in cell A4 and whatever is in cell B4. So I will simply type equals and then click on A4. Now remember that we don't have any spaces there. So I would put a space here in my formula, then put the ampersand, another space, so this is to keep things neat, and then within quotes, an extra space. So quotes, space, quotes, another ampersand, another space here in the formula, and then I will click on the cell, select the cell that has the surname. And then if you click return, there it is, you have the name. So you have the two strings put together, and in the middle there is a space. And all you need to do, imagine here it's a trivial example which only has 6 names, but imagine you have a list of 150 forenames and surnames. Okay, you can also do other things, right? So I'll give you an example. So let's say over here I have a column, let's say, with grades, and then the grades here are going to be, let's say, 56 and 78 and 43 and 62 and 55 and I don't know, 80, for example. So then I want to say that this particular person received that grade. Okay, so what I would say is equals, and I will only use the first name. So I would say, click on the first name, ampersand, open quotes, say, press a space and say, received a grade of, and another, sorry, misspelled here, a grade of, another space and close the quotes, and then put another space in the formula and put the ampersand. And then you need to type, I cannot actually select it here, but I need to put cell E4. There we are. John received a grade of 56, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there we are, make it a bit bigger. So you can actually combine different elements in text and combine them together in a nice kind of text or a string of text. So you don't need to use any formulas yet. When I say formulas, it's what Excel used to call functions, but they call formulas now. But you can actually use the ampersand to string text together. Now, this is the same job done by a function or formula called concat, which used to be called concatenate, which basically means add text strings together, right? So rather than using the ampersand business, you simply put everything in the formula concatenate, which is spelled, the structure is concat, right? And here there is a full function here, concatenate. Actually, interestingly enough, I'm going to use concatenate here because this is a slightly older version of Excel that I have. But the new formula called concat is the one that Excel uses right now. But concatenate is going to be recognized as well as what it's called a legacy formula. So to be backwards compatible with previous versions of Excel. Then you would open the brackets, and then as it says here, text 1, text 2, whatever. And this text can be something like, for example, a cell. Okay, so I can click on the cell, and then the structure, comma, right? And then if you want to put your own text there, make sure that you enclose it in quotations. So I want to put a space. So I put quotes, space, quote. I put another comma. You carry on basically adding any other text you want. And in this case, I will click on B4. Close the brackets, press enter, you have exactly the same result. Okay, so that might make it a little bit better. So again, if you use the Office 365 license of Excel, then you can use the concat formula. Otherwise, if you have any older version, use concatenate. The next function, or actually pair of functions or formulas, is find and search. They work in roughly the same way. The only difference is that the find formula is a little bit more precise, i.e. it differentiates between lowercase and uppercase, whereas search will look for any occurrence for a particular character within a string of text. So the text I have here is this one in cell D12, and it just says this is sample text. And here I'm going to use find, and what I'm trying to find is I'm going to find the letter T in cell D12. So this is what I'm going to do, I'm just describing it. And then underneath, the structure of the formula or the syntax of the formula is equals find. Okay. I'm sorry, actually find is the one that is case sensitive. As you will see here from the pop-up, the little help pop-up tells you that find is case sensitive. So if I want to say find letter T, I open brackets. First of all, I need to put down the text I need to find. So this could be the contents of another cell, or in that case, I will simply type quote little t and close quotes. And then the next thing is you need to specify the text that you're searching into. Okay, so this text is contained in cell D12. Then I close the brackets, and then the return is going to be a number. So what is the number? The number is when Excel finds the letter T, and it gives 16, which says it should be the 16th character. Okay, is it the 16th character? So T is the first one, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces are characters, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the first time that Excel finds lowercase t is the 16th character in that string. So this is what you're going to get there. Now, if you want to use the search function is less accurate. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it is a capital T or a small t, I'm still going to specify it as T, and once again it's going to be in cell D12. So the structure now is going to be equals search, open brackets. The text I want to find is the same, so in quotes I put lowercase t, and it doesn't matter if it's lowercase or uppercase. I put a comma, and then I need to click once again on cell D12 that contains my text, that within text bit. So press enter, and now you see the result is number 1. Why? Because the very first character of that string is a T. Whether it is capital or lowercase, it doesn't matter. The next formula is this one, len, and len stands for length. So if you want to see how long is a particular string, how many characters it consists of, you simply say len. So here I'm going to find the length of characters for example, the same thing. This is a sample text. So for cell D12, so I would type simply equals len, open brackets. You can either put the text in quotes, or you can simply put in the cell address of the cell that contains your text. Hit return, so it is actually 19 characters long. The next 3 formulas work in very much the same way, that left, mid, and right extract text from a string, and you specify how many characters you want extracted. Again, this might be useful even with numbers. If you want to extract a specific number of characters and then perhaps translate them into numbers. So what I would do here, I will put here left, and then mid, and then right. Make them bold. And then underneath, I'm going to use the respective formula. So I would start with left, open brackets. So the first thing we need to specify is the actual text. So this is the text that is contained once again in cell D12. I put a comma, and then it simply asks you how many characters do you want to return, counting from the very first character on the left-hand side. Now I say I want 4 characters, close the brackets, and when I hit return, the result I should get is the word this, the first 4 characters. Here we are. Now, in a very similar way, not identical, but similar way, is the mid function. So I type here mid equals mid and open brackets. And then I need once again to specify the text. Once again is D12. Then there's something called a start number or start num. So Excel needs you to tell it from where it should start counting. Obviously, if you start counting from the very first letter, the very first character, is the same as using the left function. So there's no point in that. If we want to go somewhere in the middle and say we had text which consistently is structured in exactly the same way, let's say it had a few characters at the beginning which are the same, then something in the middle which is always the same number of characters long, and perhaps something in the end which we don't care about. So let's say we want to extract this word sample. So I will quickly count. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so the start number is going to be 9. And then I want it to actually collect 6 characters. So it starts from character 9 and collects 6 characters. I close the brackets and I should get the word sample, but let's see. Yes, there we are. Okay, so it started from character number 9, which is the S, and then it collected this character and another 5 after that. And finally, right, which also works in a very similar way. So right, again, equals right, works very much like the left function. Okay, but it starts counting from the right-hand side. So once again, you specify where your text is, it's in cell D12, put a comma, and then decide how many characters you want. I'm going to select 4 characters once again, close my brackets and hit return. And it has collected or selected rather the last word. So this is left, mid, and right. Occasionally you may have text which is quite jumbled up, okay? Which means that it is not always consistent. Sometimes things are uppercase, sometimes lowercase, sometimes they're mixed, whatever it is. And if you want to give some consistency, okay, you may want to use a function to do that quickly. Now imagine I have here the list of names, right? These 6 names. Imagine you have a list of 100 names, and some of them were right, some of them were sort of wrongly formatted. How would you change them? So what I could do is perhaps I would like to put all of them as uppercase, all right? So I'm going to say here equals upper. I'm going to select cell A4. And if I hit return, you see that whatever is in there returns as an uppercase text string. If I go back and simply copy that, the last one is not needed, but you see now all the names have been copied. If I were to extend this to the right, it picks up the surnames as well. But let's forget about the surnames. And let's say I want to make the surnames appear as lowercase letters. So I would put equals lower, open brackets, and then I have to specify cell B4 to start with. So B4, and that should pick up John Lennon. And then of course, if you extend that, you should have all the other names as well appearing as they appear. Now let's say I have perhaps something which is typed in some lowercase, some uppercase, whatever it is. So let me type something here, say, okay, so as you see, it's completely wrongly spelled, right? Actually, the spelling is fine, but the capitalization is horrid. So if you wanted to put this in a way that is not all uppercase or all lowercase, you use something called proper case. And proper case, as you're going to see in a minute, just capitalizes the initial word of every single one of these words. Actually, we'll see how it does. Okay, how it does this. So select cell I20, close brackets, and there you have. So proper means that it capitalizes the first letter of each word. So it makes sense if your text string is effectively a title, rather than having short words like is and and so forth. Okay, so imagine it's a title which has been badly typed up, and then you want to turn it into proper case. Now imagine that you have 50 such text strings. So obviously the proper function does things quite quickly. Now we go to another function here, another formula called repeat. Okay, so this REPT is an abbreviation for repeat. Now, repeat is basically you take a character, right, and you repeat it so many times. So if I were to say here, for instance, equals repeat, open brackets, a piece of text, let's say the letter A, comma, repeat it 5 times. Okay, there you have it. Why would this be useful? Well, let me show you a very, very easy to do a histogram. Now, as we're going to see, you have much better tools in Excel to create something like that, but to demonstrate how you could use this function, let's say you have a string of numbers. Let's say we have 5, 25, 15, 8, let's say 10, and let's say 30. And I use the repeat formula, whereby the text, I will put it as a little character, which is this vertical line, this one here. Okay, so it looks like a vertical dash. It should be at the bottom left-hand side of your keyboard if you are on a Windows machine, and it should be towards kind of the middle keyboard, the middle row of your keyboard towards the right-hand side, close to the return button if you have a Mac keyboard. So this is the character I want, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to enclose it in quotes first, comma, and the number of times will simply be read by these numbers here. Close brackets, enter. So what I have, this little character repeated 5 times. Extend it, all you see is a horizontal bar, isn't it? It's the same thing. So it is very basic, but still it is quite visual. As I said, there are several other formulas you might want to consider. If we show them once again, you see we've managed to do quite a lot. There is an interesting one called number value, okay, which converts some of your text to a number, right? And this actually might be useful if you happen to download data which, for whatever reason, are not formatted in the proper way, right? So you can actually take the numerical value of it. I don't have any sample right now, but this might be quite an interesting, quite a useful rather function. And you have several things there. You have the value function here. As you see, it converts a text string that represents a number to something which is actually a number. So these are the other two functions that you may find useful from here. This on the assumption that you download data which are in perhaps in text format, and Excel doesn't quite recognize it immediately as a number, and then you have to do something like that to extract the numeric part and then turn it into a number. So that's the only eventuality you may need to use it. And this completes this installment on text formulas.